I'm Courtney, and I need to do the dishes. So I thought that while I do the dishes, I could teach you some English. So first, I need to roll up my sleeves so that my arms can get wet, but my clothing stays dry. Okay, this is a spatula. This is a dirty spatula. And so I need to turn on the water and get it wet. I need to get this spatula wet. And I'm going to add this soap. This soap is the type of soap where you can squeeze it. So I'm squeezing soap onto the spatula. Then I'm going to use this sponge. I'm going to use this sponge to wash the spatula. So one funny thing about this spatula is that I actually burnt it. So you can see here, I burnt it here and here because I left it too close to the pan. I left it too close to a pan that was on the stove, and it caught fire. It caught fire and it burned on this edge and this edge, but I still use it. Okay, next we have this pan. This is the main pan that I use to cook things in. And actually, my husband is the one that does most of the cooking. I don't really like cooking. I think it's boring. And so my husband is the one that cooks like 90%, probably 95% of our dinners. And tonight, he made gnocchi, I think it's called. I'll put a picture. He made gnocchi and butternut squash. And it was really good. It was the first time that he made it. And so he likes to try new recipes. And then he always asks me my opinion. He always asks, okay, did you like it? Did it need more salt? Did it need more spices? Did you think that it was cooked well? And I always tell him my opinion. He likes to try new recipes that he's never made before. And then if we both like the recipe, he will make it again. But he is very much a perfectionist. He likes to get the recipes just right. Okay, so I'm setting everything in a dish dryer. The dish dryer is where you set the dishes to dry before you dry them off with a paper towel or with a dish towel. So this is a dish towel. So you set the dishes in the dish drainer before you dry them all off with a towel. I like to do my dishes turning the water on, scrubbing the item, and then rinsing the item, and then putting it in the dish drainer. And then once all of my dishes are scrubbed and rinsed, then I like to go back and dry them all and put them away. So I'm going to put this dish towel away for now. We don't need it yet. And the next thing is a plate. So this plate is plastic, and we bought these plates when we moved into our RV because they're small and they're able to be stacked really easily. Here, I'll show you. I'm going to wash this second one. This plate is still dirty. So I'm going to wash this plate. And before we had these plates, we had plates that were bigger. But they took up too much room. We don't have a lot of space in our RV, so it's important we can have things that are small. And so these plates stack very nicely. These plates fit. You can put them on top of each other. So we have 4 of them, and they stack like this. And then when we put them in the cabinet, it's really small. It doesn't take up very much room. Okay, putting the plates in the dish dryer, the dish drainer. Okay, next up I have a measuring cup. This is a measuring cup. This is 1 cup. 1 cup. I don't know if that's how you measure things in your country, because in the US we measure things really weird. Actually, if you want a cool video about measurements, you can check out Justine's video about how they measure things in Canada, and you can find that on englishsponge.com. So if you're interested in learning more about the Canadian measurement system, you can check out that video on englishsponge.com. But anyways, this is 1 cup. And I think that my husband used this to measure flour, but I'm not sure. This particular measuring cup is cool because inside the measuring cup, there's an additional layer. So this says 1/2 cup. So if you want a full cup, you can fill it all the way full. But if you want a 1/2 cup, you can just fill it to the halfway mark, to the halfway line. Okay, next up we have a cutting board. This is to cut vegetables or to cut meat. I think tonight my husband used it to cut butternut squash. It's interesting because I always think that my favorite vegetables are green beans or asparagus or Brussels sprouts, but I think my favorite vegetables are squash. I really like yellow squash, and I really like the butternut squash that my husband made tonight. It was really good, but you have to season it correctly. Otherwise, I don't think it tastes very good. Okay, next up we have another spatula. I used this spatula to make scrambled eggs this morning. I make scrambled eggs a lot. I really, really like eggs. So that's what I eat for breakfast a lot, is a breakfast burrito or scrambled eggs. And I don't know why we have 2 spatulas, but look, I also burnt the side of this spatula. I burnt this spatula very recently. Once again, I left it too close to the burner on the stove and it burnt. Okay, so the next item is a pot. This is a pot, and my husband used this pot to make the gnocchi. I don't know how to pronounce that word because it's an Italian word, but basically he made choux pastry, which is a type of dough made with butter, flour, salt, I think some other things. And then he put that mixture into a piping bag. So he put that mixture into a piping bag, and then he piped it out in little pieces, in little dots. And it created kind of like a pasta, a different weird type of pasta. And it's called gnocchi, I think. And so this is the pot that he used to stir the dough, because I saw him, he put this pot on top of the stove, and then he was stirring the dough that he was making. Tonight was the first time that he made this dinner. It was the first time that he made this recipe, and it was good. I liked it. But the one thing that he wasn't satisfied with was how brown the gnocchi was. And so he said he wished that he would have cooked it more. He wished that he would have cooked it more. So I think he's going to make the recipe again and try to get it a little bit more browned. Okay, next we have this. This is a serving utensil, a spoon, a serving spoon. I would maybe call it a slotted spoon. So these are slots. These three are slots. And this is like a ladle or a spoon. A ladle is just a really big spoon that's kind of curved. So I would call this a serving spoon, a serving ladle, a slotted spoon. There's lots of names for this, I feel like. And you could also call it a serving utensil, because anything that you use to eat is called a utensil. Like, a utensil is a type of tool that you use to eat. So I'll be showing you some silverware next, and silverware is another type of eating utensil. Silverware, I think, is called silverware because traditionally it's the color silver, but now I feel like you can get silverware in all different colors. Our silverware is a combination of plastic and metal, but I've seen silverware that's gold. I've seen silverware that's wooden. One thing that I thought was really cool recently when I was eating at a restaurant is that there was silverware made out of bamboo, because they were trying to be a little bit more sustainable and do things to help save the planet, like make their not reusable silverware out of bamboo instead of out of plastic. Because obviously, if people are only using plastic silverware once and then they're throwing it away, that's not very sustainable. It's not very good for the planet. So I thought it was cool that the restaurant was using silverware made from bamboo, because bamboo is biodegradable. It will break down over time, and plastic is not. Plastic does not degrade very quickly at all. Okay, so this is the next thing. I would call this a slotted spoon. See how this is more curved and this is flat? So this is probably more like a ladle, and this is probably more like a slotted spoon. And the reason that it has slots in it is so that if you're trying to pick up a food that has water or liquid in it, and you don't want the water or the liquid in your meal, then you can use this slotted spoon. So, for example, if you're cooking pasta and you want to try and put some pasta on your plate, but you don't want the water that you cooked the pasta in, of course, you're going to drain the water a little bit, but you can also use a slotted spoon. And we also use this slotted spoon for salads sometimes. We'll use 2 of them, and we'll use them to pick up salad. And I think tonight my husband actually used this to stir the dough. Okay. This is another type of spatula. This is a rubber spatula. This material is silicone or rubber. And this spatula is really good for scraping. So if there's a round surface, you can use this to scrape every last bit of what you're trying to get out of that container. And so my husband uses this spatula when he's making doughs, or when he's making maybe desserts, like cookies. You can also use this spatula to get peanut butter out of the jar. 1 minute. This. So, if there's only a little bit of peanut butter left in the jar, you can use a spatula to scrape the last bit of peanut butter out of the jar. All right, and last but not least, we have these. We have a spoon, a knife, and a fork. I'm going to say that again. A spoon, a knife, and a fork. And these are all silverware. These are all eating utensils. And so that's what I mean when I say that something is a utensil. It's something that you use to eat your food. One fun fact about me is I actually like to use spoons to spread things. So if I put mayo on my sandwich, I actually like to use a spoon to spread it. Or if I put peanut butter on bread or toast, I like to use a spoon to spread it. I don't know. Most people use a knife, but I like to use a spoon. I just think it's better. All right, cool. Well, thanks for doing dishes with me. I know that I was more entertained talking to you while I was doing dishes, so I hope you were entertained too. I hope that you learned something. And remember, if you want more content like this, you can go to EnglishSponge.com, and you can find all different levels of content to help you learn English. Sweet. I'm Courtney. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.